Hi, and welcome to Radio Cuts and Narrations.
In this class, student editor Elijah will walk you through the basics of making an edit made out of interview bites and bits of narration. This will form the basic skeleton of your story. Let's get to it.
Just a couple of things to keep in mind. A radio cut is basically just an edit that only has the audio sections of your final edit in mind. So you want things like your narration, your interviews, and your dialogue, but you're not necessarily focused on the video elements of your edit. Next, we'll look at editing your narration. Just a couple of things to keep in mind is that we'll make use of the same basic editing tools that we've learned throughout the course. So the same editing techniques that we use to edit videos still apply there, and the same tools that we used then still apply now. Next, I'll show you the basics of adding voiceover and narration to your edits within Premiere. So to do that, I'll use an example of a segment that you've already seen in this class, and that's the case study on climate change in Vietnam. So this is a final project. We can see that it's a combination of interview bites.
How can we ensure that there is accessibility, availability, and affordability?
And voiceover.
Would spend 2 months traveling the country. Neither researcher had formal media training, but they were able to use the smartphones to document their travels in their meetings with local government officials.
Same way I have learned a lot from video.
So get started into creating this sequence from scratch. So I'll just close this, and I'm going to create a new sequence the same way we've done it so far. So we hit the new item button, sequence, and then we hit OK. So we'll just call this case study SEQ for sequence. And then once we have that created, we can go straight into adding our voiceover and then adding our interview bites. So we'll start off with the interview bites. I have my bin with the interview open right here. So I can double click on this to open this in the source monitor. And if I move to this section that I have already selected my in and my out points, if I play those.
About 5 years ago, I had a realization that what most resonated with me was hunger.
So with this interview bite selected, the in and the out points, I can click and drag and then just drop this into my sequence. So you notice I have about 8 different audio layers. So I don't need all of these. If I zoom in, you notice that some of them are completely quiet. So I'll just go ahead and delete those just to leave room for the voiceover later and for the narration. So with this selected, I'll just drag it a bit this way. And I want to select another byte. So I'll go back to my source monitor. I select a part of the interview that I want.
But by doing so,
I select my endpoint right there.
More impactful direction. And video was never meant to be a part of it. It was taken on as an additional component of it. But by doing so, the reach, the understanding of the program by parties that were not privy to it initially has been exponentially increased.
Okay, so I'll select that part. I select my output just by hitting O on the keyboard. I click and drag this and I drop it in. Again, I'll just delete these extra bits of audio that I don't need. So now we have 2 bytes and we want to connect them using voiceover. So if I go into this bin, I have my voiceover files all ready to be added. So you notice that these are just audio files without any video attached to them. And if I play them.
We are thrilled to begin with this class a new era of partnership with the Open Society University Network.
So this is just different voiceover bytes.
Begin with this class.
And let's say I select this part.
In the fall of 2018, a group of public policy students met to plan the...
So I'll select this part.
In the fall of 2018, a group of In the fall of 2018.
So I'll select my out point and my in point right there. So I click and drag this to drop it into my sequence. And you notice that it shows up right there. So I want to make sure that I add this on a separate layer. So these are the different audio layers, the different levels at which we have, we can place our audio. So I want to place this such that it doesn't overwrite the audio that we already have present. So I just click and drag it onto its own new layer. I select this, put it at the front, I'll drag this and add it a bit closer too. That way when I play my audio,
In the fall of 2018,
About 5 years ago, I had a realization that what most resonated with me was hunger.
let's say I want to connect these two clips with another piece of voiceover. So I do the same thing. I open up a piece of voiceover. So I just double click on this, or I can click and drag and just drop it in the source monitor. And then once it's open there, I can play through.
many digital cases profile field research.
So I select the out point and I select my in point. Click and drag that, and I drop it within my sequence. Again, I'm just trying to drop it next to the interview byte. I'll drag this and bring it a bit closer. That way when I play through it,
In the fall of 2018,
About 5 years ago, I had a realization that what most resonated with me was hunger
many digital cases profile field research.
or impactful connection.
one thing you notice that there's a bit of gap here. There's a space in which nothing is being said. Again, you can treat voiceover the same way you treat any other clip. So if I hit the C button on the keyboard, or I click on the cut tool, I can zoom into this, make a cut right there, select this clip and delete it. Bring these clips closer, bring these clips closer. And now I don't have that space anymore. It just goes from one clip to the other.
Was hunger
Many digital cases profile field research.
or impactful connection. And
That's basically how you can create a radio cut within Premiere and how you can edit your narration and your voiceover together with your specific interview bytes.